UFC star who had it all, yet succumbed to the most dramatic fall. What made Tony Ferguson so special? The speculations around Tony Ferguson reached their pinnacle when his career went down south. So, what made the invincible Tony fall from his 12-fight winning streak? Tony Ferguson has ruled millions of hearts with his undying passion for fighting. The title of El Kukai, a mythical creature, sits well with him owing to the wild fury Tony fights with. His unorthodox techniques help him pin his opponents to the ground and defeat them in cold blood. Tony Ferguson is an American mixed martial artist with Mexican roots. He displays an exotic mix of fighting styles, including jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, Wing Chun, free wrestling, mixed martial arts, and boxing. His first stepping stone towards the UFC was the Ultimate Fighter series, a UFC reality show. After getting rejected twice, he finally made his debut on UF in 2010 in the 13th season of the show. This marks the rise of the greatest star in UFC history. His career graph exhibits sharp edges from the start, the peak, and the fall. No smooth curves, no glides, just a sharp rise and an equally drastic fall. Even if you look at his Ultimate Fighter records, the man has a heart of steel and the fury of a wolf. His 10-2 record at the welterweight championship in pure combat was astounding. He managed to knock down Justin Edwards in the first round. Ryan McGillivray also saw the same fate in the quarterfinals, where Tony won with a TKO in the first round. His face-off with Chuck O'Neal helped him win the semifinals after a TKO, paving his way to the finals. Tony's entry into the Ultimate Fighter series was all he needed to mark the great rise of his career. And the fact about Tony that he doesn't let opportunities slip away is quite evident from his debut in the UF series. His fight with Ramsey Nijem at the final of the Ultimate Fighter 13 allowed him to sign his first contract with the UFC. It was a fair fight. Both opponents were equally fierce in knocking out each other. The fight was a fight for the title, and none of them would have it easy on the other. However, Tony's elbow work came out stronger than Ramsey's punches. He became the winner of the Ultimate Fighter 13 and the long-sung hero of the UFC arena. With his debut, he marked UFC as his territory, winning Knockout of the Night bonus. Tony turned back to the lightweight division and defeated Aaron Riley in 2011. He also gained a clean victory over MMA veteran Eve Edward at the Ultimate Fighter 14 finale. However, here we see a slight dip in his fight record. On May 5, 2012, Tony Ferguson lost against Michael Johnson and suffered an arm injury. But this setback was more like a rebound for a winning streak that defined Tony Ferguson's career. So, tighten your belts as we explore El Kukai's golden era of being undefeatable. Tony Ferguson's winning streak. Tony's defeat against Michael Johnson made him step back for a year, recovering from his injury. But soon he was on the field, breaking records, winning prizes, and conquering a lengthy streak. His first win of the streak was against Mike Rio at UFC 166 in 2013. He was given the first Submission of the Night award. What a great way to start! But that's what Tony has always been known for. His passion for the game kept him on a track record of neat victories. He kept going relentlessly, invincible and unstoppable. A series of unblinking victories came next in line, all one after the other. After winning against Katsunori Kikuno in the first round in 2014, he started a series of subsequent victories. The matches against Danny Castillo and Abel Trujillo were his next victories in 2014. Everyone who came after that shared the same fate against Tony Ferguson. Tony wouldn't have it any other way than to be the best performer in the octagon. The boogeyman of the UFC earned Performance of the Night bonuses, battling against Gleison Tibau and later with Josh Thompson. And now it was time for the most anticipated battle of UFC history. The fight between Tony and Khabib Nurmagomedov. The undefeated Khabib Nurmagomedov has never lost a battle in his official MMA career. By breaking this streak, Tony would emerge as the ultimate legend, unbeatable and unstoppable. But fate had some other plans. UFC fans could never see the face-off between these power-hungry and ruthless rivals. The 2015 Ultimate Fighters 22 Finales ring was set to bring these two rivals against each other. However, Khabib Nurmagomedov couldn't participate owing to an injury, and Edson Barboza stepped in. This, again, was a fight in Tony's favor, crowning him with his third consequent Performance of the Night bonus. Tony and Khabib were rescheduled to fight on April 16, 2016 at UFC on Fox 19, But Tony stepped back from the bout this time due to a lung issue. After defeating Lando Venata and Rafael dos Anjos, Tony Ferguson continued his winning streak. Even after so many victories, an itch under his skin could only be treated by defeating Khabib. The fight between the two legends was rescheduled for the third time, but this time, the interim UFC lightweight championship title was at stake. This fight for the title was an important battle between the two legends, but it looks like the game was cursed from the very start. This time again, Khabib got hospitalized and the match was called off. While the two fighters continued to itch to get their hands on each other, Tony's winning streak continued against other fighters. Then again came the most unprecedented time in human history when the COVID catastrophe shook the world. The match between Khabib and Tony was again postponed as Khabib faced travel restrictions due to the pandemic. What followed next was unanticipated for UFC fans. The breaking point of Tony's career. After the bout between Khabib and Tony got cancelled, Tony went for the interim UFC lightweight championship in 2020. This was when things turned south for Tony, as he lost his match against Justin Gaethje. He had to cut back on his weight to fight against Gaethje. This was probably the worst decision he could have ever made. With multiple strikes and blows on his head, Gaethje broke him in the ring and Tony suffered damage beyond repair. It was like Tony lost touch with the ring. He could not pull himself up when his opponent pinned him to the ground and growled for victory. The star of the UFC was dimming with each fight, although he kept switching between the welterweight and lightweight divisions. But what made Tony Ferguson fall so badly that he couldn't stand back on his feet? Tony's personal life was in pieces as there were some unresolved issues with his mental health. We will find out how badly Tony had it and how much he was broken. Tony Ferguson's personal issues. Tony Ferguson grew up under his stepdad in Michigan. His stepdad played the primary role in evoking Tony's passion for wrestling. Tony was naturally not inclined towards academics, resulting in his college dropout. However, he did earn the National Collegiate Wrestling Association Championship in 2006 during his college years. Working at the bar proved to be the turning point in his life. One night, a patron introduced him to a local MMA gym, offering to train some young fighters in mixed martial arts wrestling. That decision forever changed his life. Tony Ferguson started his professional wrestling career here. However, regardless of his exceptional stardom in his professional life, his inner demons continued to gnaw at him. Ferguson was suffering from a mental illness. He would have psychotic breakdowns and panic attacks. He was suffering from anxiety and insomnia. Ferguson's wife, Christina, reported his weird and out-of-the-place behavior. There were times when Tony would ask his family to pack their bags and move out of the city, as there was a looming danger of a devastating flood. It was very evident that he needed medical help. In March 2019, Christina Servin filed a restraining order against Tony, frightened by his irrational behavior. And that's when this audio clip went viral.
Okay, I just want to explain one thing. I actually left the location with my son. I was not comfortable with it anymore.
Okay.
He is a professional fighter.
Okay, and is he there by himself, or is there anyone else there?
No, he's there by himself, just the dog. But he's there by himself.
And it's your husband?
Yeah, it's my husband.
What's
so that's
his
what
name?
I'm saying. I just want to let you guys know he's a professional fighter because, one, I don't want no cop to get injured or anything.
we don't.
If you just send one.
No, we don't want anyone to get hurt. What's your husband's name?
Tony Ferguson.
Tony?
Yes.
How old is Tony?
He's 35. We've been trying, us and his management team has been trying to get him help for some time now. Actually, the cops were called to my location about a year ago, around this time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been trying all year for him to get help, and he refuses. And now he's to the point where he's
has he been diagnosed
really bad
with anything?
No, because we haven't been able to get him.
Take him. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually worse. And
did he hurt you or your children?
No.
No,
He's
you're
just
okay.
doing really just random stuff. You know, like he puts holy water on me. I don't know what's going on with him.
Are you gonna stop somewhere and meet with the police so they can talk to you?
should I go to the police station?
You'd be better off meeting in the general area of your house since they're going to be responding there. The police station's a little.
I don't want to go near my house.
Well,
I don't want to go near my house.
Okay, ma'am, not right next to it, just somewhere in that general vicinity. Maybe over by Sandpoint Park, or over MacArthur Place, or wherever you feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable anywhere near the house, then you can come to our station. It'll just take longer for us to get to you.
His wife, who he claims to be his support system, reconciled with him later that year and put down the restraining order. This was what we call the rise and demise of Tony Ferguson. Tony's ultimate downfall. While he had everything he ever wanted, the most unexpected turn of events snatched it all in the blink of an eye. Tony's fight with Gaethje was the onset of a series of failures for the once unbeatable champion of the UFC. The year 2020 was unforgiving for Tony in a way that he could never mark his rise in the world of wrestling. All the fights following these were major failures for Tony. As hell-bent as Tony was on not giving up, he fought Nate Diaz at the main event of UFC 279 but lost in the 4th round. His return to the lightweight division again did no good to him, as he lost against Bobby Green. It was undisputably the lowest point of Tony's career. The same year he fought Bobby Green, he was positioned against Paddy Pimblett on December 16, 2023. And this marked Tony Ferguson's losing streak. The 39-year-old wrestler lost 10 matches, and if he continues at this pace, his failures might outnumber his victories. The name that once filled the UFC arena with wild roars of cheers and applause now marks the end of a legacy. Can Tony Ferguson bounce back to the pedestal he took a fall from? Can we expect to see more of Tony Ferguson in UFC? Or is this the end of his career? Let us know your thoughts on whether Ferguson can make a wild comeback. Hit that subscribe button right now to let us know that you want this type of fire content. Peace. Peace.